Well, Graham and Helen Linehan join me now from Dublin. Helen first, when did you feel that you had no choice but to terminate the pregnancy?
Well, when we had our scan at 11 weeks, this is the first time we felt pregnant, we were told that there was a problem. And then we went back the next day to have another scan to confirm the condition that the fetus had. And basically, there was no other option. We were told that the condition of the fetus was fatal. It would probably survive in my body, but wouldn't survive birth. And so there was no other option in our minds but to terminate the pregnancy.
It must have been incredibly traumatic. You moved back to...
It was awful.
And you moved back to Ireland shortly afterwards. If you'd been living in Ireland at the time, what would you have had to have done?
We were not aware of this until we moved to Ireland. But if this had happened to me in Ireland, I would have been lawfully obliged to go to carry that baby to term.
So we found this out. My wife Helen went to a play group when she was pregnant with our second child, and met a woman who had been through the same thing as Helen had, but it had happened to her in Ireland, and the laws forced her to actually carry the baby to term. Yeah. So carrying a baby she knew was going to die. And when we found this out, we couldn't believe it, and we still find it. Every time I talk about it, I find it hard to believe, but it's true. It's what happens here. And the Irish medicine, when it comes to abortion, when it comes to women's health during pregnancy, through no fault of the doctors or the women, is a horror movie over here. And so we just thought we'd use my little celebrity that you have as a comedy writer to try and bring attention to it.
And Helen, you still look angry about the fact that other women had to give birth to a baby they knew was going to die. Well,
the condition also, it doesn't actually, you're not actually sure that it is going to survive. If it does survive, then you can give birth to it. But some of these cases, the fetus will die.
I think that's happened with Savita, I think.
Yeah, that's what happens with Savita, and she died because of septicemia. I've met some women today who have gone through the worst traumatic times because of this law. Our
story is kind of, our story is what should happen. But the stories we've heard today are, as I say, horror stories. I mean, one of the last things Savita heard in her life was, "This is a Catholic country." Well, any country that would allow that to happen to a woman, it may be a Catholic country, but it's not a Christian country.
But is there a risk, Graham, that you're championing the rights of women at the expense of the rights of the unborn child? You know, when you look at the figures in England and Wales, for example, I mean, last year there were, I think, more than 180,000 abortions, which is a pretty shocking figure, isn't it?
Well, there's no such thing as a happy abortion. Abortions are not a pleasant or happy thing. It's not a good situation. It's never a good situation. But the thing is, if abortion is illegal, it endangers two lives, not one. So I just think that the choice is central.